Hello, this is Mrs. Taylor, and I'm going to show you how to compare the slopes of two equations in standard form. So this first pair, they're asking, do they have the same slope? And when I look at it, I see that both of these equations start with 5x, and so first impression is maybe they do have the same slope because they both start with 5x. But what I have to remember is that in order to really know the slope, I can do one of two things. I can either isolate y by getting it by itself, or I can remember the formula for slope if I'm given standard form. Well, quite honestly, I don't remember that formula. So I'm going to solve for y because I know how to do that. So if I do that, I can subtract 5x from both sides first. You'll have to forgive my handwriting. I'm using the touchpad on the laptop. So I subtracted 5x first from both sides. That would give me 2y equals, I'm going to put the x term first, so negative 5x. And this was a negative 2, so I write minus 2. These are not like terms. I cannot combine them. It just has to stay that way. I still have this positive 2 multiplied by the y, so I have to undo that as well by division. So divide both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 1 times y is y, so that all disappears. And then remember, when we divide multiple terms by a number, we can split it into two fractions. So this would be negative 5 over 2x, and then negative 2 over 2, or minus 2 over 2. And then 2 over 2 divides to 1, so I can clean this up a little bit more by showing that it would be negative 5 over 2x minus 1. So my slope for this first equation here is negative 5 over 2. So I'm going to represent slope with m and say it's negative 5 over 2. Now, if I took the time to remember the formula for slope given standard form, I would remember that it goes ax plus by equals c, and that the slope is just a divided by b. Excuse me, I think I just misspoke. It's not a divided by b, it's negative a divided by b. The other way to think about that is negative 1 times a just changes the sign of a. So it would be the opposite of a divided by b. If you look at what we did up here when we solved for y, the result, my slope, was the opposite of the a, which was 5, divided by b, which was 2. And so the shortcut, if you can remember it, is taking your a value, the coefficient of your x term, which would in this case would be 5, and making it the opposite sign, or multiplying it by negative 1. And that would be over the b value, which is your coefficient for your y term, in this case negative 3. And we can clean that up a little bit. If the top and the bottom of the fraction are both negative, the outcome would be positive. So the slope of the second equation is 5/3. So at first, it looked like these would be equivalent sloped equations, but that's not the case. After I took the time to actually find the slope, I see that this top equation has a slope of negative 5 over 2. The bottom one has a slope of 5/3. So not only different denominator, but completely different sign. So now pause the video and try to find the slope of these two equations and determine if they're the same. Hopefully you paused the video and took the time to find the slopes of these two equations. If I solve for y, For each one, the results in slope-intercept form would be y equals 2x plus 1 for this top equation, y equals negative 2x plus 5 for the bottom one. And once I get it in slope-intercept form, I can now easily see that the slope for the top equation is 2 and the slope for the bottom equation is negative 2. So they're pretty close, but still not the same slope. So that's how you would compare slopes given standard form.